Chapter 7. Spoiler. Heartless by Marissa Meyer. No one is born evil, but society makes them so. Catherine Pinkerton, who is the tragic hero of this story, is an example of how social pressure, high expectations, and ignorant parents can shape you into the villain you're destined to become. Join us in this chapter where we attempt to change Catherine's fate. Ready to jump with us down the rabbit hole? My name is Nesma. Turn the page. Welcome to another chapter of Between the Pages. I'm Nesma.
And Arhameen. Okay, big obvious fact is that this story is about Catherine's heart. It's about, everyone is after her heart. Even she is. She wants to fill her heart with the happiness of fulfilling her dream, being with the man she wants, and living her life out peacefully and serenely, and just is after her heart in two ways. First, as
romantically, and then the other one was
for his mission, for the queen he serves. He was there to steal the heart of the Queen of Hearts because her heart is full of courage and passion, and they need such a heart to finally win a war in their kingdom. And her passion and courage is needed by a force that is greater than even love, which is fate, the inevitable fate. So there is this reference, I think, in the book. Marissa Meyer created these three characters, the three sisters, and I think they're in reference to the Greek mythology of the three spinsters of fate, I think. The ones who have this thread of someone's life that carry his fate, and when they cut it with the scissors, it snapped. This person is dead. He has no fate anymore. So they want Catherine's heart to stay alive, and they get it in the end, which is, it's known. You start the book knowing she's going to lose her heart and she's going to be this person in the end, but you don't know
the how.
Which one. Obviously, Catherine isn't going to have her dreams and isn't going to keep her heart, but you wish that her heart is Jess and his is hers, but that doesn't happen.
Fate has its way.
Yes.
That's very depressing.
I know. But it is a depressing story, as much as it's full of romance and hope and everything, and a gentleman and a joker.
And it makes you think about, what we said before in the non-spoiler episode, is that people are not born evil, but they become evil through certain circumstances. And that's literally the embodiment of Catherine. And in this story, what she's going through shapes her as fate shapes her, or takes her away and abuses her courage and her
passion.
Takes advantage of that.
It turns her passion
into the quite opposite.
Yes, into the quite opposite, into hatred and rage and
vengeance
and never-ending need for vengeance.
Yeah.
So her fate is to be a villain. That's
her fate.
Her story.
In the story, you can sense that how impossible it is for her to escape it. But it's
this dread.
I know, it's like this thing you have to carry around with you. It's like
every beautiful moment, you dread what's gonna happen later.
I know, it's like, oh, no, they're not gonna have their happy ending. Nope, guys, that's not how this is gonna go. But still, there's some part of you that thinks, what if?
Yes. But then it's scary as well. This is a very sound ringing bell of no one gets all they want. You can want, but fate and destiny have other
plans for you.
Yes, God has other plans for you.
Yeah. And that's something we truly believe in. Like, we know fate and destiny and all these things exist, and that some things are just not within our grasp to even change, or like not within our reach to even think about them. And this is the core of the story, you know?
Yes.
It's just the core of the story.
And the moral of that is
the moral of Heartless is, don't follow your heart. No, that's not the that's not the moral.
You cannot escape fate.
Exactly. That's the moral. You cannot escape fate, and not even queens get to escape their fate.
Yes. And also a note on queens and kings and royalty and monarchs. You know, you see how stories changed? Like, we grew up wanting to be princesses and queens and marry princes, but then when we grow up, the stories tell us, no, there is a lot of sacrifice behind that. You don't get to be who you are or what you want to be
without at least a bit of sacrifice.
Yes. I mean, there are a lot of examples nowadays. I mean, I thought of Meghan Markle. Like, she left her career behind, what she aspired to be her whole life growing up, and to marry someone, to be royalty, you know? She gave up her individuality. No, not to that degree, but I mean, she gave up her dream for someone.
But I mean, it couldn't have been her dream if she could give it up so easily. You know?
Or she found something more, you know?
Exactly. Maybe he was her new dream, you know? Like her actual real dream. Something she wanted more than just being an actress and being famous. And it has a lot more responsibility being a royal like Meghan Markle than just being an actress. Like, she could have way more influence on people than just, you know, being an influencer or having an Instagram account or something like this. Like, she's a duchess, isn't she? So she's a duchess now. Fancy schmancy. We've gone off topic.
Not really. So let's talk about the characters.
Yes.
Let's take it from there. Like, characters are our friends, and
we have a lot of characters from Alice in Wonderland incorporated into Heartless. Mm-hmm. So we have, for example, Hatter, the Mark, Hare. We have the mouse. There's the mouse, and we have the
rabbit. The white rabbit.
The white rabbit. Yes, the white rabbit.
We have time.
We have
somehow.
Time. We have time. The person time. We have the turtle. There's the Jabberwock. So there are a lot of
the queen, of course,
and the queen, duh. So we have a lot of authentic characters from the original story. And with them, we get a lot of references to the original as well. Like, for example, we get the mock turtle soup. We have the lobster quadrille. All of these things are actual instances in Alice in Wonderland. There's a kind of an originality behind it as well.
Yes, and you get to teach me about the originality because, like, I haven't read Alice in Wonderland.
Or, I don't know, do you call it originality? Because it's like she's just
borrowing the
characters. I think she's more borrowing them than just, you know, writing about them. Should we start with the character that we least like, get him out of the way, and then we move on?
The reason for all of this madness. Okay, let's go. Hatter. The Mad Hatter.
The Mad Hatter.
Dun dun dun.
So originally from the classic, we know him as the Mad Hatter, even though he was never referred to as the Mad Hatter in the story. That's actually a fun fact. Mm-hmm. He was called Mad Hatter later on. Like, people called him the Mad Hatter as readers, but he's called Hatter in the novel.
Okay.
So he's actually not called the Mad Hatter.
He's completely normal.
In Heartless, we have him as a completely normal person, very sane. He has, though, a history of madness in his family, so that's like a reference for him maybe becoming mad in the future. We don't know the reason for that. It's just like inheritance or something. It's like, but he is a
It's
sane...
in his blood. It's in my blood. And
It's in his blood, exactly. But it's he is a normal person in Heartless.
yes, he still hadn't gone mad, but he's very different from the Hatter I know from the movies. Like, the Hatter was so... I'm
But
so
again-
fond of him, but Marissa Meyer did something different with Hatter here.
I know, but I wouldn't recommend keeping in mind the Hatter from the movies, because those are completely different Alice in Wonderland's depictions. Those are not real, actually. In the original, he's considered more of a side character than part of the plot. He is just insignificant, actually, to be honest. He's just a mad person who has tea parties all the time because he thinks it's 6 o'clock every day. For him, time has stood still. It's always tea time.
And in Heartless, he's significant, actually. He turns out to have put a lot of things in motion. But if you look at it, it's actually the sisters who made him put things in motion, making him pass between chess and hearts. So once he passed with a pumpkin that kept growing and didn't stop. And then those seeds were the ones in Peter's patch, pumpkin patch, who created the Jabberwock. And the Jabberwock
is what threatened Marianne, so Catherine would have to save her.
And Peter would have to retaliate.
Yeah.
So it's basically his fault. And it's his fault that turtle turned into a mock turtle at the festival.
Mm-hmm.
So he's quite actually significant in Heartless. But also his personality is so venomous. I guess I can describe it. He's so maybe jealous all the time. He's so mean to Catherine.
He's a very mean character in the story, and I was surprised by that. I was actually very bothered that she made him such a unlikable character, and it's just I didn't understand why she needed him to be so evil, or not evil, but just like mean. Like, he's such a loved character in the story of Alice in Wonderland. Even in the movies, we're just gonna refer to them now as played by Johnny Depp, everyone loved him as the character. Everyone loves the Mad Hatter. I don't know why she took him so... She had to go down that road. Like,
yeah.
But I guess someone had to do it. You know, someone had to be that person. And it's just for Marissa Meyer, I guess it just for her was the Mad Hatter.
Yeah. Who else would it be? Maybe the Knave.
The Knave could have been that person, but...
Yeah, he's already unlikable.
He's very unlikable, yeah.
Anyway, you tell us your thoughts on that in the comments. So yeah, and you were open to ideas.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next character. Catherine or Jess?
Let's leave Jess till the end. The best for the end.
The swooning for the end. Okay, Catherine. Oh, Catherine.
What have you done? What have you not done, actually?
There's something about Catherine that bothers me. I don't know what it is.
Catherine has her faults. Like, she's quick to be angry. She's a bit judgmental.
I think her biggest fault till now is being very naive. She's very naive in everything. She thinks she can still save the day. She thinks she can still do this and do that, when it's basically already foretold what's going to happen. And like, in small things, I don't mean the big things. I mean like small things, like falling for the Joker, for example. Like, that's like falling for someone who is much, much lower than your own personal rank. I mean, I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, but her naive thinking that her parents would accept him, that's what's bothering me. Like, this idiotic hope that it could actually work out, you know? Mm-hmm. When from the start of the novel, we've seen what her parents are like. You know, yes. We've already seen an example of how unsupportive they are of her baking like ambitions. how they want to put a stop to that, how the only thing that's driving them towards their daughter, or the ambitions that are working towards their daughter, is her marrying the king. And it's like this thought that they have in their head, and there's nothing that can come between that one thought. My daughter has to marry the king, no one else. And if she arrives with the joker, like, what the hell do you think is gonna happen? Like, what do you expect?
All her mother thinks about are her prospects and her position and
her clothes, the way she dresses, the way she walks, what she eats, what she doesn't eat, what it's like.
She's very demanding.
And even there are these slight things her mother does. For example, like, she keeps her baking interests going, but for her own advantage. Like,
yes,
make these macarons, but for the king. Make this cake, but for the king, and no one else. It's like she doesn't even appreciate the fact that her daughter can do these things. It's like she doesn't stop and wonder, what else can my daughter do except baking? What else? Like, what if someone else likes my daughter's baking? What if we can make money out of her baking? None of these thoughts come into her head, because Catherine is a very highly ranked person in the society, and that's why the king is even like thinking about marrying her, because she's like Catherine Pinkerton of Rock Turtle Cove, and that like has a meaning there, you know, like she's from high society.
And also, our society teaches us to think on your own level. Don't dream too high or go too low.
Exactly.
And Catherine is going low. Maybe we're blaming her for what the society taught us. Maybe she's going to be happy if she settles. Why stop that? I mean, why is that her fault?
I mean, it is basically what we are living through right now at the moment, like this society perceptions and these expectations, these silly expectations that we have nowadays. And it's perfectly portrayed in Heartless, like
the frustration of the pressure the environment puts on you, and how that shapes the values and perception of your parents, and the cycle of society parents my dreams, society parents my dreams.
And I think what Marissa Meyer is trying to teach us is that it's okay to want to dream for something that you wouldn't usually get, but it's the how you get there. That's the question. And knowing when to stop, you know?
Yes.
Knowing and realizing when, okay, this dream isn't going to happen. You know, like, it's fine to have a dream, but it's just when it's not working out, it's not working out. You know, it's like, I don't know, like, I pity her. Like,
yes, but
you know,
passionate persons and dreamers don't know how to stop. It's what they do. They dream and they want to achieve their dreams. And that's why I find Catherine very relatable.
I know she is in many ways.
Yes, in many ways. Even her way of falling in love, you know, it's the small things in the beginning, and then the big things, and then the thinking about marriage, and then, you know.
Yeah. Very relatable. I love this novel.
Yes.
If you haven't noticed by now, I love this novel. We have read it twice. We've read it once before we even thought about starting the podcast. And then now we
had to talk about it.
Yeah, we had to read it again.
We had to share this with you. Because, yes, like we said again and again and again, it's relatable not only around the world, it's just more even in the Middle East and North Africa, in the Arab world. It's, I don't know, we face this pressure a lot, or not necessarily us, but like a lot of people. We hear a lot of people facing this pressure and going through this dilemma.
Like, for example, we have friends who have certain dreams or things that they want to do, or careers they want to pursue, and the parents are just interfering with these things. It's like, we don't have that Western European expectations of when you go to college you're on your own, you know, when you've come of age you do everything on your own. Like, we don't have that here. We're still relying on everything. We have to ask for permission for everything. We can't do everything the way we want it to, you know. It's just something, and for us it's it's like we're just waiting for that freedom for one day where we can decide. And tell you what, you know what would be funny is when we have our own children, inshallah, in the future. If we ever have our own children, we're probably gonna be the same. That's like the most terrifying thing is like you have certain expectations of your children, like you want them like for example to do this and do that and dream and have your, but when you're like maybe they're completely different, maybe they want you to tell them what to do, maybe like then they're not the type
oh my god, no.
Maybe they're not the type of people to dream or to have things or expectations. You never know. Like, maybe. You never know.
It's a balance that, like, so hard to get at, you know, Loa?
Yeah. It's something... it's just part of life. It's part of life. We've learned to tolerate it. We've learned to cope with it. And it's actually not that bad. I mean, it's portrayed really bad in the novel because... it's coming from that perspective of another culture, you know? It's like this prison,
and
oh my god.
And even another era. I mean, like, she...
No, I mean from Marissa Meyer's life. Like, she doesn't come from our culture. The culture we live in. So if someone from her culture lived in our culture, they would see the lack of freedom that we have. But we've gotten used to it, haven't we? Like we know how to live with it. We're not bothered by it as much as other people would.
We know how to achieve this balance with our parents, Aloha. Yes, I want this. We have to that, but
yeah, we just have to work a little harder, you know, to get what we want. Just a tiny bit harder. And what I wanted to say. Yes, that was the one part in the novel that I found hilarious when I read it, is that the moment she told her parents about the project she wanted to do for the bakery, and her father said no. I'm like, I saw this coming, sweetie. Deal with it. Suck it up. Like, what's the problem here? Dads say no all the time. Or mothers. I don't want to generalize fathers. Maybe they're the nicer ones. In some maybe your dad is the nice one and your mother's the strict one. We never know.
Yeah.
So I found it very funny when I read that that scene. It's like it was so relatable on so many levels. Like when I tell my dad about projects or ideas that I have, I always have to convince him that this is a great idea, that I want to do this and that. And the way Catherine reacted to that, to her father's reaction to what she said about the bakery was just, for me, it was hilarious and very entertaining because she had no idea how to deal with her dad's rejection, you know?
Yeah.
She was very worked up, very emotional, very... well, on our side, we'll just, you know... well, okay, another dream I can't do, you know? Another thing that I'm not allowed to do, but...
you know, if I was in her place, I would have, like, tucked my tail and went into my room, but to think of another argument, to think of how to convince them, not just... she didn't give up, but she gave up on convincing them, you know? Like, I wouldn't have something ready to argue with. I never have something ready to argue with.
I mean, there's a lot more we want to say, but we don't want to make this podcast too long. So I think we can move on to Jest.
Why is a raven like you're writing this? That's how he enters the story. And that's another riddle for you to solve.
Yeah.
It has 3 answers in the novel.
Well, if they've read the novel, if they're in the spoiler, they've already read it, haven't they?
Yeah, but have they kept track of them and, like, remember this, all 3 of them?
You're one of those people.
Yeah.
Did you pay attention in class?
Oh, that's so me. Okay, so Jest finds himself in a bit of dilemma. First, fulfill his queen's mission or follow his heart.
Again with the heart thing.
So the first revelation about Jest comes after the tea party, the real tea party. And we know that he's a rook from the other kingdom. And that spring, another reference to us. Rooks made her life.
From Victoria.
Yes, the show.
Rooks made her
So
life.
for us, we know that like we have this fact in us from the show that makes us think, and we believe in his love. He's waiting for her for life, and
It's true.
it's
We know.
settled. It's set in stone. He loves her. He's not gonna unlove her. So we invest in him. We invest in whatever he's
pursuing in
Yes.
Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on so many levels, Jest is kind of my favorite character in the story. There's something about him that's still very undeveloped, to be honest.
Yes, other than what he does in the there is more to him, like that I want to know, like what are his dreams before all of this. Yes, he wants to stop the war, blah blah blah, but who is he without all of this, without the mission, without his devotion to his queen, without anything? Who is he? Yes, he's a joker and he's impossible and all of that, but
I know there was so many things that we still didn't find out about his character, and I think there's still like a big question mark left for the idea of Jest. We just know him as the Joker. We don't know Jest as Jest, as a
the
person.
gentleman.
As a person.
He appeared
and
once at the end, but
we were
don't know.
close. We were close to finding out, but then we lost him. Poor guy. I feel like and when you reach the end of the story, you can really feel like how he was just a tool to get to that part. Like sometimes I hardly doubt even their feelings for each other. Like I don't know. There's something about it that just, as if it's just something that was given to Catherine as a reason for her to be evil. It wasn't true love. It was just something that happened to her that I know that puts everything in question, and that might be something you won't like. Some people won't like.
yeah.
Some people like you probably want to believe that they truly loved each other,
But
and
I
maybe
mean,
they did. They did.
Remember his hesitation in pursuing Catherine. Like, he wanted her so badly, but he was so afraid that she's the queen. He's supposed to steal his heart, and that he gets confused between him charming her to get her heart, and him charming her because he really wants her, She's his mate. I mean,
Yeah.
something really made me angry at him, which was, why did he help the king in pursuing Catherine?
I know, right?
Why did he stood back like that? He didn't. Yes, I feel okay. Him, the rook of the White Queen. He doesn't want to interfere, but why did he stand back?
I don't know. It was something just as a character. I think he was afraid of stepping over that line, He didn't see he had a chance, so he just wanted to help her in getting what he thought was right for her, because her parents were so crazy about her marrying the king, so maybe he thought that was the right thing for her as well. So he thought, why not support her when I can't be with her? Why not help her get the best thing she can get?
And there it is. He's making the same mistake as her parents. He's assuming what she wants.
Exactly.
And he does it again when they finally admit to each other that they love each other and that they have a chance and that she's going to refuse the king and everything. And then he gets arrested. He then tries to save her reputation, thinking that she cares about her reputation. He does the same mistake again. He assumes what she wants. Everyone assumes what she wants.
And that's like what drove her to like being this evil. It's like it was kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way, because she gave people what they wanted. This idea of, okay, you want me to do this? Fine, I'll do it, but I'll do it my way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want me to be the queen? Okay, I'll be the queen.
You'll regret
Off with
it.
her head. Like
yes,
that's
you'll regret it.
You'll regret it now that you want me to be the queen. I will be the queen, and now you'll see my wrath. Like that's like what drove her to be that kind of person. And
yes,
I think,
and what fed her anger as well, that everyone was so blind to her feelings and her wants.
yes.
Especially
So
the
true.
king. And of course, no more especially is her parents. I mean,
Totally agree. I hope you guys agree as well, because this just is boiling my blood.
But then, why doesn't she say what she really wants? She does say it, but a bit late. Every time. I don't know. Eloa, I have this frustration throughout reading the book for the second time. Eloa, if you just don't...
If you had just done this and that and this...
Your life would have been so much easier. But then, would I do the same thing? Would I do what I'm saying her to do? What I'm telling her to do, you know? Am I that brave? And then it goes on. I don't know.
Yeah. Which brings us to the section of the spoilers where we ask the question, what if?
So, let's do this. Let's rewrite Heartless. Okay, so what if Catherine had asked her parents for the bakery from the very beginning, even before the ball or when she returns from the ball? I know they were so angry and afraid for her after the Jabberwock attack, but I mean, it wasn't the right moment, yes.
To be honest, the timing wouldn't have mattered. They would have still said no, and that's what I was talking about before, is her naive thinking, you know, that the timing matters. When the outcome would have been the same.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe.
For me, that's like the answer to the question. What do you think? You think if she would have said from the beginning, something would have gone differently?
But I'm trying to think which beginning. Why did I write this as the first thing? That's what she was talking about, the very first scene in the story.
Because she was waiting for the caterpillar's approval. Then she had to go to, what's his name?
The Duke.
Yes, the Duke, to ask for his permission. And she didn't, in her head, she didn't want to tell her parents about the idea of the bakery.
Until she has a solid plan. And that's...
Exactly.
And that's logical for me. Yes, I like to tell my parents things when I have all the data, but I don't know.
It does make sense, but I don't think it would have made a difference.
But then what if she had outright refused the idea of the marriage to the king and asked for the bakery? And then made a point out of it. Look, I'm not eating until, I don't know, you agree, or... you know, she made a stand for it.
Throw a tantrum, that's what you're saying? Because that's childish. But I guess, look, in my mind, from what Marissa Meyer has given me, it wouldn't have mattered what she said, what she did, when and how, and it's like all of these things. That's what she's trying to tell us. It doesn't matter the timing or what she says. It's about the people around her who are reacting to what it's like she's in this prison of...
Okay, so her parents, I understand that. Like, they have one track in their mind, and they want her to go through it. Fine, it's hard to get them around now. But what about the king? He's blind to her indifference, okay? What if she, at the tea party, told him privately when they had their walk, the garden, that she doesn't return his affections, and honored that you think of me that way, and blah 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 blah, and I'm sorry. And he's kind enough and foolish enough to maybe make with him a bargain. I'll give you tarts forever, but don't tell your parents you changed your mind and you have someone else in your head or something, you know? Why didn't she? What? At that moment, she was thinking about her parents' disappointment.
Exactly.
And that weighed so heavy on her.
She's still a daughter wanting to please her parents. That's her dilemma.
Yes, she wants her parents to be proud of her. She doesn't want to disappoint them. But I mean, this idea has its limit.
Her idea was probably, what if I anger my parents now? I'll never have my bakery if they hate me for this, you know?
Okay, but then why would they hate her for the king changing his mind? I know her mom blames her for everything, but I don't know. There is a way through this. I mean, her mom would get over it.
I guess.
Like, if it came from the king, not from her. I mean, she doesn't want to disappoint her mother.
Fine.
Then it comes from another person. From the other person, not her. And she acts sad and heartbroken, and then her mother would sympathize with her, you know?
I mean, you have a point. If the king was the one who would initiate or would put an end to this relationship, her mom would have been fine with it. But still, it's in the question whether or not they would have still agreed to the bakery. But I think that's like, it doesn't matter at this moment.
It doesn't matter. What matters is that she doesn't become a queen, so she can have her bakery one day. Queens don't open bakeries. And I don't know.
They can open bakeries, but they can't be the owners of the bakery.
Or they can't be the bakers.
They can't be the bakers.
Okay, what if she didn't tell the king anything privately in the garden, and then at the festival, she asked Jest outright to dance with her the quadrille dance. After he made it clear that if there is a chance, he would propose to her and ask her parents for his hand.
But then the king would have looked stupid.
Yeah, but he would have got the point that no, he wouldn't.
He wouldn't,
He's
exactly.
so stupid.
He is very stupid.
Okay, and then
What
there
else
was
is
the
there?
part where she was at Sir Peter's farm, and she found the pumpkin and she took it. What if she had left it alone? But that goes way back. What if Hatta didn't bring the first pumpkin in the first place?
Yeah, that's true.
But that's fate's. Yeah, I guess that's
There's-
totally on the fate's side. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's nothing we can do about that.
Yes. And when her parents didn't agree for her to have the bakery, okay, she did something else. She found another route. She went to Hatta. And Hatta was so cruel to her. What if he hadn't been that discriminating? Remember that line about spineless creatures, most of all women, something like that? He said, I don't know, what if he had actually given her the loan? Then she would secretly have had her bakery, and then her mother would have found, and father would see her succeeding. Everyone in Hearts would be craving her
tarts.
pastries and tarts and stuff. So her mom would have actually
Been proud
okay,
of her.
she can be famous and have a role or a rank in another way, you know. She would have seen that when she sees the actual thing, you know. Or regarding the marriage, or just had opened the king's eyes on Catherine's indifference, you know? The king lends his ear to everyone around him and like believes everything everyone says. What if just made it so that he's insulting Catherine in a way, or that what I mean is, he makes it on the king that, can't you see, you're embarrassing her maybe, or Loa, so the king would back up Bardo, and he just would have.
Okay, I get what you mean.
But that's like a very big what if. Just had the power.
That's exactly what I wanted to say about Jess. But I couldn't put my finger on it. There's some kind of manliness missing in him. Not man. I don't mean like that. I mean like he doesn't take action.
Mm-hmm.
He's like he doesn't realize that he doesn't need to wait for someone's permission to save or to make his situation as easier as possible. Like, if he puts the king out of the picture, then he can pursue Catherine.
Yes, and that's the easiest way for him to pursue Catherine. Why didn't he do it?
I don't know. He was being a nice person, I guess, but that wasn't the time to be a nice person.
I think he liked the king. And the king liked him very much. I mean,
yeah.
He would have listened to him. He listens to his advice.
I mean, to be honest, the king is, if you go on his good side and if you ignore his stupidity, he is a kind of a nice person. Like, he is lovely.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to please everyone around him, but that's so shallow, Very shallow personality, and you can't go on pleasing everyone around you. It'll just make everyone go insane after a while, Yes. And it's people like that who are just shallow-minded. I mean, there's no other word for it. He's very shallow-minded.
I have a thought about this. I mean, The way of hearts is to put every ugly thing behind you and forget about it. What if the way of chess is that everyone has one move, or, that on a chessboard, and that his queen didn't move him, and that's how his queen moved him, as in to get the queen's heart. So
Okay.
that's not his move,
Interesting.
What if that's his way? That's his
Wow.
first instinct.
I never thought about that.
See?
Give yourself a pat on the back. Yeah. What's the next what if? Is it?
It's your what if.
Oh, it's my what if. Yeah. My what if is
That I haven't thought about. Every moment in the book, I thought to change it, and I didn't think about that. So.
This one is my only what if. Haneen has a lot of what ifs. I only have one. Because when it comes to the moment where Marianne exposed her secrets to her parents, I always thought, what if Marianne hadn't done that? Up until that moment, there was still something that could be done for Catherine and Jest to be together. Maybe she couldn't have had her bakery because she married a man, her rank. So when Marianne exposed her secrets to her parents, every little possibility that was there was completely eliminated by that exposure to the secrets. And I think...
Because that ruined his picture.
Exactly.
I mean, Jest was a beloved of the whole kingdom.
Yeah.
Now he's a villain, so how can Catherine make him come back from that,
Yeah, exactly. But the problem is her parents are so... what's it called? Ambitious or materialistic in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They are very materialistic, and if they see that she wants to marry the court joker, it's like the greatest scandal ever. So it makes you think, if Marianne had kept her mouth shut, would have this still prevented from Catherine marrying the king or changing her parents' opinion? I don't necessarily think so, but I think it would have helped her case a little bit more.
Yes, especially that Just said he's a rook in his kingdom, and that's in the same rank as a marchioness and a
Marquess.
A marquess, as a marchioness and a marquess. So if they see that he's in the same rank as they are, they would have agreed. At least, this is the least they could hope for.
Yeah.
The most they could hope for is the king. The least is that. So fine. Not below that, they would be... I mean, as a court joker, that's scandalous in their eyes. Mm-hmm. So they had this one argument up their sleeve, I mean.
Exactly. That would have been her ace up her sleeve, Mm-hmm. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. That's the most frustrating thing I think happened in the whole novel. All that happened before that was still kind of tolerable. But
yes.
It's when because that's the moment where they finally kissed and had their moment.
Yes.
And then it was our hopes were shattered again for the 100th time.
And then he had to save her reputation somehow. He had to act as a hero and make everyone see him as a villain. What if he hadn't done that? What if everyone was so worked up against him? Okay, what if he had just claimed his innocence? And everyone is foolish. They would have believed him because they already love him. And Catherine talked to her parents, and Marianne, explained the situation somehow, and everyone just calmed down and listened to each other. Why did he have to step up and say, I don't remember what he said, but save her? Why does he have to save her? She already, she didn't have it, I mean.
She didn't have it under control.
Yes, but
his confession made everything so much more complicated. But the problem is, in the moment where the whole thing happened, her parents were already convinced that she was under a spell and that he had her under an enchantment that made her see him differently. And it's as if he's the bad person. So all that comes from Marianne's confession.
Yes, but I mean, Catherine stumbled for a moment. because I think she didn't want to disappoint her parents again, and like by being this person who goes behind their back. And
I think I know which moment you're referring to, because that's like the first moment where we truly see her as, we see this hint of evil, you know? It's not evil, it's
do I save myself or save him, you know?
Exactly. No, she hesitated.
Yes.
And that moment of hesitation truly gives you a perspective, because some people wouldn't even hesitate. They would just immediately save the other person that they love. But she took a moment to truly think about it, you know?
She was like opening her mouth to save him, or like claim that she didn't. And then he took the moment from
Yes.
her.
Yes. Her ribs collapsed inward, pushing the air from her lungs. How many of her secrets had Marianne told? This was her last chance, she knew, to deny it all, to blame Jest for everything, to pass the consequences onto his shoulders, to maintain her parents' perception of her forever. She swallowed down the knowledge of how easy it would be and how impossible. No, she could not betray him. She squeezed her fists and opened her mouth, but it was a deeper voice that spoke. No.
Oh. That moment also would have probably changed what's going to happen next. They wouldn't have had to escape. I don't know, he wouldn't have been hated by everyone. She wouldn't have had to go and accept the king's proposal.
Yes.
And still do what her parents told her, you know? After she finally found the courage not to accept his proposal, you know?
Even the reasons she wanted to accept his proposal are silly, to be honest.
Why did she want to accept his proposal?
Because she thought, okay, I can't be with you, but instead I'll marry the king and I'll give you my heart willingly so you can save Chess from the war.
Yeah.
And after that, I was really pissed when he said, you can still be queen in chess. It's like, she doesn't want to be queen. Stop offering that to her. It's like, she doesn't want to be queen. And to be temporarily queen, that's the most stupidest suggestion I've ever heard.
No, actually, they wanted the heart of someone who has courage and passion, and that person can save them. I mean, she has it in her to, I don't know, take action and save the day. So, and that's what got her. Anyway, so she could use that there in chess and then go on with her life with chess. And then it went downhill from there. Very roller coaster. They went to the treacle well. They heard their fates, and I don't know. Like, there's the what if she kept asking herself. What if she had listened to Hada's warning of not going through the door? And what if Jest had listened to Kath to not go through the door?
Yeah.
There was still a chance there, you know? And then what if Kath hadn't slain the Jabberwock? Peter wouldn't have had
the urge to take
retaliate.
Vengeance.
Yes.
To retaliate, yeah. All of these things are just related to each other, and it's like a spinning wheel of insanity.
Yes, but still, I believe there was still a chance if Jess and Raven and Hada waited for her the crossroads, and she would have found them again. Because she's desperate to go back. She would have gone with them, with Marianne. Yeah. There's still a chance they could have gone to chess, you know? But the sisters want this ending anyway. They would have made it harder for her to go every time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There was always a reason, like Hada said, to stay.
And I kind of found it really annoying when she went back to save Marianne. I know she's her best friend and stuff like that, but it was either her or you.
Yes, and there was still a chance that Marianne would have survived, you know? I don't think the Jabberwock would have eaten her. Because the Jabberwock wants to eat
pumpkins and not humans.
And something orange, and Marianne isn't orange, so I don't know. I mean, there was still this chance. And she could have lived without knowing, you know. Mm-hmm. And there was a maid. What became of her? Nobody knows, something like that. But I guess most important of all, which is going again to the parents, you know, like, I mean, if her parents had asked her about her dreams, what would make her happy, and have been proud of her dreams and ambitions, Because it's a very good thing for a person to have dreams and ambition. What if a person doesn't want anything from life? What if a person doesn't want to work, or I don't know, labor or anything? Like, there are these people who doesn't know what they want in life and just live aimlessly. And I guess, I don't know, I don't want to be judgmental, but that's the worst thing. I don't know. You have to have a purpose, I guess. That's my opinion. So why can't they just be proud of that? And even better, like, had they seen her heart and appreciated it, she could have kept her heart, or have been able to give it to Jest, and none of this would have happened. It was all about her heart.
It was. Like, there was this moment at the end where her parents, or where Catherine thought to herself, what they asked her on the wedding day, are you happy? Are you, I can't remember exactly what they said. Can you get it out?
Yeah. Because it's this moment, you know?
It's that moment that truly breaks you as a reader, you know?
Yeah, Loa.
Why didn't you just ask these questions at the beginning?
I found it.
You found it?
Catherine, said the Marquess, placing one hand on Cath's shoulder and one on his wife's. We know you've been through some difficult things recently. Anger, hot and throbbing, blurred in her vision. But we want you to be sure, absolutely sure, this is what you want. His eyes turned wary beneath his bushy eyebrows. We want you to be happy. That's all we've ever wanted. Seriously?
I know.
Is this what's going to make you happy? Cath held his gaze, feeling the puncture of Raven's talons on her shoulder, the weight of the rubies around her throat, all the things that, you know, suffocates her. The itch of her petticoat on her thighs. How different everything could have been, she asked, if you had thought to ask me that before. She shrugged his arm away and pushed between them. She didn't look back. So she finally got out of
that
image to satisfy her parents.
Yes.
You know? She's leaving them behind.
Yes, exactly. That need to make them happy, to be the obedient daughter. All of those, like, things.
It's like you got what you want.
Exactly. You got what you wanted. Be happy. I've married the king. Are you satisfied? This is what you're gonna get. You know, this is basically it. Anyway, is that it?
Yes. So
we hope you've enjoyed this chapter with us,
and you're doing something to achieve your dreams.
That's so true. Please never stop fighting for your dreams. This podcast has been a long dream that we've been wanting to pursue and start. And here we are.
Yes, here we are.
Yeah, and we have so many other dreams that we want to accomplish, and we hope that all of you out there have the courage to fight for what you want.
Yes, and fulfill them. And it's not your parents and the society and your friends and who thinks what. It's also you. Sometimes you want to give up because it's easier. Sometimes you just forget what it's all about. So fight yourself as well, because it's so satisfying when you get there. It's like, yes, it's your legacy, you know.
Yes, that's true. Legacy. I was touching your leg when you said legacy.
That's what inspired the word. Okay.
Legacy. Yeah.
So tell us your thoughts. What if you have another what if? Say that as well in the comments. And tell us, what was your favorite moment? What was the worst moment for you? What was the moment you related to the most? What thoughts and ideas were there in Catherine's head and you were like, yes, that speaks for me. We'd like to hear from you, or like read from you. Yeah, so we're not just talking to ourselves here. Yeah. So see you next chapter. Thank you for making it till the end of this chapter. We hope you enjoyed our sort of retelling this tale, and join us in appraising Marissa Meyer's talent in spinning off stories from fairy tales we all loved and enjoyed, as well as giving us the chance to still enjoy their themes as adults. For next chapter, we're doing A Gift in December by Jenny Gladwell, hence December. The must-read, feel-good, festive romance which will warm your heart this Christmas, according to Hatchet UK. My name is Haneen. Mark the page for chapter 8.